So there's this thing called Stokes' law, but what really is it? There's a lot of fancy graphs like this one, but they're really not too hard to understand. If you follow the blue line, it's really just telling you how fast wind has to go to pick up different sizes of grains, as in sand or gravel. And in this picture here, you can get a better understanding of what the graph is trying to show you. The blue lines on the outside of the particle represent the velocity of the wind, and the force gravity pointing down represents the gravitational pull based on the weight of the particle. In order to get this particle to move, your blue lines, which are your velocity, have to outweigh the gravitational pull of your particle. For this video, I used this chart to help me define the class and size of the particles I had collected. I also used your average 3-speed fan, where the slowest speed is kind of like a slight breeze, and the highest goes pretty fast. For this first test, I used fine to medium grain sand, and I used the lowest fan speed. You can see that the fan's not moving too fast, and when I pour the sand down, the fan makes it move. We're going to get a close-up here so you can see it a little better, but you can tell that the slow speed moves these fine grain sands. For the next test, I used coarse sand to very fine gravel and the highest fan speed. You can see that the gravel just drops straight through and the fan has no effect, meaning that Stokes' law says that the fan speed would need to be higher to make this gravel move. For my final test with these kind of particles, I used fine gravel and the highest fan speed. From the previous video, you can guess that these will also just drop straight through and the fan will have no effect. I then tested leaves, which are a lot larger but a lot lighter than the previous particles, and I used the lowest fan speed. You can see that the leaves are moved by this fan speed, which means that the wind velocity necessary to move these particles is pretty low. For my final test, I used various pieces of wood and twigs and the highest fan speed. If you look closely, you can see that some of the very small pieces are moved slightly by the fan, but not very much, meaning that most of these pieces need a higher wind velocity to be carried. Overall, I hope this helps you understand Stokes' law, and thank you for listening.